just a vet spouse. You're forgetting us. Once more. We're nothing to you. Willing to train people at the Legion? But we're just what? Nothing? Nothing. This is what we are. Nothing. Again.
That was a scene that played out on Parliament Hill yesterday. The wife of a soldier suffering from PTSD chasing Veterans Affairs Minister Julian Fantino down a corridor, pleading for a meeting and then being ignored. Jennifer Mignot says Fantino's department is spending $4 million more on advertising, but is shortchanging support services for soldiers with psychological wounds and the family members who care for them. So, does the federal government have its spending priorities all wrong? What should it do to better serve these desperate veterans and their spouses? Joining me now from Montreal is Jennifer Mignot. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, so you sure caused a ruckus at that committee yesterday. What did you want to hear from the minister? What did you want to hear from Julian Fantino?
I just want him to recognize us as caregiver and give us the training that we need to receive in order to support our husbands and wives, of course. This is what I want from him, nothing more.
And so why did you chase him down the hall? Why were you running after him?
I can't explain exactly what happened yesterday. The only thing I can tell you is that while I was waiting outside for him to come out, suddenly all my friends I talk to every day, the one that lives the same situation as I do, like they all came up in my mind, and I needed to talk to him. Like I felt the urge. That didn't happen.
Had you ever spoken to him before?
No.
And what did you think it might change if you were able to speak to him directly, personally?
I actually think I could be able to convince him of what I'm saying, what we're saying as spouses, as caregivers. I think what I'm suggesting is quite logic. Just train us in order to deal appropriately with people who needs us to be there for them in a specific way. I mean, if there are schools to train social worker and psychologists, why not just give us a little bit of that training for us to deal with this situation? It has a huge impact on on our lives, the families, the children, us, and the wounded also. They need us to intervene in an appropriate way, which sometimes we don't know how to, and unfortunately it leads up to, divorces and a lot of pain, suffering, loneliness. This leads to suicide, right?
We also asked to speak with Minister Fantino, as you were trying to. He declined an interview today.
What a surprise.
Let me show you the statement, though, because he did give us this statement, and then I'm going to get you to react to it. His office says this: due to privacy laws, we cannot comment on the individual case in question, except to say that we reached out to this veteran 2 weeks ago to ensure they are aware of the program available to them. Did they contact you? What did they tell you?
They did. They just don't get what we're saying. Yes, they did call, and yes, they did verify. And as we speak, they called the case manager actually called me like 20 minutes ago, just to make sure that I was satisfied with the psychologist I have and everything, and that I have plenty and enough. Yes, I get that, and I appreciate that. Yes, I do need that. But they don't get the fact that I'm talking about training. And these services, they don't give to us. The U.S. does it. The U.S. already recognized the military wives and vets' wife also as caregivers. Therefore, there are plenty of resources available for them. I'm not saying that their system is perfect, because I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
But when I go on their web pages, my God, that's astonishing what they have. And we have nothing. Just go on the Vax Affair page. If you're a spouse, a family member, try to find some information, some real resources. No. And I'm not saying that Vax should offer all the training, because a lot of it is actually available in our communities. Why not just work all together? But I think that now, like our veterans, militaries, our CMPs also, are not heard. And it's time for us, the spouses, the caregivers, the one who loves them, to show our support and to join our voices to theirs. Now it's time, because we, as spouses, are part of their family. The veterans are recognizing who we are. Why the government won't.
When you heard yesterday in the committee, and maybe you'd heard it before, that Veterans Affairs is spending $4 million on ads, on advertising, because they say there are lots of veterans who aren't aware of the services available to them. For instance, they say 4,800 mental health professionals available across the country. When you hear that kind of money is being spent on advertising, what do you think?
Like I said, I'm not the best person to judge the amount that are used. Maybe publicity is needed in some way. Well, I say, correct the problem at the source. Have those services available. I mean, $4 million more? Give us just a little bit of that money to us. Just hear us. And you'll see, we'll give you real results. I'm not asking, and we are not asking for the end of the world here. Just give us the tools, and we'll give you results, real results.
Can you tell me, and I guess tell the minister, because this is maybe the only way you're going to be able to talk to him, something that has happened, an incident or an example of something that's happened with your husband where you were struggling to deal with him because you didn't have this training, this expertise, the help that you needed.
We were walking. And I had to ask my husband, who was telling our youngest son that he thought he had cancer, throat cancer. My father was then dying from cancer and throat cancer. So, these are very delicate situations, because when I have to ask my husband to have an appropriate way of saying things, it's sensible. So, actually, I was very nice when I asked him to, change his story. He got really mad. He lost it completely. Walked 25 kilometers into the woods, thinking he was a military. He had a camera, a photo camera. He thought this camera became his weapon, and was convinced that the farmers would come out and kill him. Took me 4 hours. The police, the dogs, the unit, in French we call it l'unité de sauvetage. Everybody was there. When I picked up my husband, obviously, back then I didn't know, but he was completely dissociated. Let me tell you, when we found him 4.5 hours later, the man I hugged wasn't my husband. This was the first time I realized how big PTSD could be. And I lived those situations many times before, but wasn't able to recognize them because I'm not trained to do so. For me, just one day go by after the other one, it's all the same. But if I would have been aware, I would have known how to talk to him, how to pick him up. Gee, do you realize that night I made love to him because I didn't know how to reach him, feeling that this man was not my husband? You want to know more, Mr. Fantino? You need to hear more? Listen to us. We'll give you plenty of stories to convince you that we, as spouses, as caregivers, are your best secret weapon. Just recognize it. The vets, the military, everybody, the RCMP, everybody recognize who we are for them. Why won't the government do the same thing?
Jennifer Mignot,
Yes.
It's a compelling story. I hope the minister was listening to you, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you so very much.